access it, they can 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to go ahead and get started with today's PrestoSports webinar, Big Play Plans for 2020, here on January 15th, 2020. My name is JD Fox. I am the Director of Partnerships and Product Management at PrestoSports, and thankfully joined today by the most overqualified moderator we could possibly have in our company. Our President, Keith Womack, is here, as well as David Higgins from our marketing department. Thanks everybody for joining us today as we talk about some of our plans for 2020. We always like to talk about what we do as PrestoSports, building plans for life, and giving you guys a reminder of what we do with our websites, video streaming, live stats, and camps solutions. We really want to be an all-in-one solution for you guys, and we continue to strive to be that, to where we can be a one-stop destination for everything that you need. Some mission, our mission and values, and a really good vision statement here. And these are still fairly new, so I do like to go over them here on the webinars. You can see our mission statement there: to provide industry-leading sports technology solutions and support to help athletic organizations create fans for life. Our values spell out pitch. If you're a baseball or softball fan, or a fan of soccer playing surfaces, passionate, innovative, teamwork, client-focused, and helpful. Our vision statement stated there: to provide the best experience through a one-stop shop of innovative technology and industry-leading service. So our key cornerstones and our investments for you are in technology and product improvements, which we're obviously talking about today, improvements on speed and protection, our client care staff, tools and operations, and our partnerships and alliances. So we're focusing today on the technology and product improvements. What we're going to talk about on today's webinar, we're going to give you a preview of the NCAA Convention, what we're going to be featuring at our booths, and what we expect there. We like to give you guys a heads up because we know our target for this webinar is mostly in the SID world, and for the NCAA Convention, there's ADs and other staff members, and obviously you guys don't have time to be there. So we're showing off some cool things. We want to give you guys a heads up that if there's something your ADs should come by and see, want to make sure you have that conversation with them and you have a week to talk to them and make sure they get to us. We're going to go over our product roadmap and an update on it, where we're headed, where we're going with our technology. And we're going to talk about the StretchLive Portal changes that we put out in December, and what you guys can expect from that, and kind of discussing the feedback we got and the changes we made, and also giving you guys a little bit of talking points on where we're going with the back-end UI changes as well. And then we're going to open up for Q&A. So I mentioned Keith Womack, our president, is here serving as a moderator of sorts. He will be looking at the Q&A section of the WebEx. So if you have any questions at any point during the presentation, go ahead and submit them there. We will go ahead and take as many as we can and take those pertinent to the conversation. If there are questions that do not get answered, don't worry. WebEx stores all those for us, and we can have an offline conversation there. So let's go ahead and get started here and talk about the NCAA Convention. So went back to a format where there is an exhibit hall, and we're actually one of the presenting sponsors of the exhibit hall this year. So the NCAA Convention is January 21st to January 25th, but the exhibit hall is open on January 23rd and January 24th. It is at the Anaheim Marriott. So there are two locations of the convention. There's the Marriott and the Hilton. The exhibit hall is on the Anaheim Marriott side. Booth 107 right up front near the entrance there, as we've made a little nice map for you. And you guys have seen it if you've gone to PrestoSports.com there is a big red banner on the bottom. As you scroll down the screen, it stays there to schedule a meeting. So anybody wants to talk to us at the NCAA Convention, that's the best way to go. When we send this deck out following the meeting, there's also a link there if you want to get to the schedule and go ahead and sign up for a time and talk with who you need to talk to for the convention. So what are we going to be talking about there? Well, on the StretchLive side, we've got two pretty exciting demos that we're going to be showing for StretchCast. Obviously, baseball, softball is upon us, so we will have a baseball and softball focused demo showing the scoreboards, the line scores, and obviously how to control base movement, because those are key things that you need to have if you're presenting a baseball, softball scoreboard, and some things we can do there to automate that through the XML files from LiveStats, like you've seen with the other sports that we've released on the website. At least one person is having audio issues. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay before we go any further. Might be isolated to one person, so we'll continue here. The StretchCast demo for instant replay, obviously one of the key premium features that we've wanted to launch for StretchCast that we knew was not going to be available at launch this fall was instant replay. So we have an exciting, brand new way of doing instant replay. We feel like it's very innovative, and we're going to be showing that off in a demonstration at the booth at the NCAA Convention, really showing off its capabilities and its ability to make multi-camera instant replay as easy as possible. And then obviously with our UI changes, we've had updated live stats, so we want to make sure that everybody sees the baseball and lacrosse live stats, since people have not had games on those yet. So we want to make sure that everybody sees those and can show that we've got those as well, and we're moving forward there, so that in the coming next couple weeks, when you guys start to have baseball, softball, and lacrosse, that all of that is there. What we'll be discussing and showing on the PrestoSports and website side. We're going to be doing a demo of the new advertising system that we have that's available. We've been slowly beta testing that this month with certain campaigns featuring certain sites, regionalities, that sort of thing. But we do have some new revenue sharing opportunities for you guys in relation to advertising, and we've got some partners that are working on both regional and national advertising campaigns. So we want to make sure that you guys have the latest and greatest options in relation to opportunities. So we're going to be showing off that. We're going to have an early tech preview of our new embeddable player. We'll touch on this a little later in the webinar, but the future we think of the video is placing it where you want it to be. So if you want the video to be on your PrestoSports website, we want to make sure that you guys have that option, so that you can make it as simple and as easy for everybody navigating to where it's a one-stop shop, and we can put the video player of the event in some new and interesting places. And then one of the key discussion points of today, we want to make sure everybody's aware. We have sent out some information, but we will be sunsetting StatJack. We know it's been a point of contention as we've moved forward, as obviously Adobe Air is no longer supported by Adobe, and as everybody's moved to Windows 10 for Genius, we know there's been some issues with that. So we're excited that we've partnered with Stat Broadcast, and we'll be using their Stat Broadcaster going forward. So we're going to be showing off the capabilities of Stat Broadcaster and its ease of setup and use for anybody that's interested. Conference offices, that's a big deal for getting the files distributed, so you can get all of your games within your conference on a night going to us, whether they're Presto clients or not, to make sure we can populate those conference scoreboards and so on and so forth. So that's kind of a very broad overview, and actually going to go back and say, one of the things we wanted to touch on there, as well as what we expect to see at the NCAA Convention, There is going to be a lot of hands-on, basically how the NCAA is doing the booths. There's going to be a lot of hands-on opportunities for the ADs to see NCAA live stats, for instance, and certain pieces of technology that are there. We've got some partners like LiveView there that are providing some really interesting solutions in terms of how to get video to happen, video streaming to happen when you've got low connectivity, low availability for whether it's a venue that doesn't have internet, or you want to get creative and do a cross-country championship or a conference golf tournament, or just you want to stream your big golf fundraiser that your alumni association puts on or your athletic department puts on, and you want to do something fun with that. There's lots of cool technology pieces that will be available there, and we're really excited to see kind of the trade show atmosphere and see a little more face-to-face time with the athletic directors directly outside NACDA mid-year. We find often that mid-year there's a lot of questions that tend to lag from the athletic directors. By the time we get to them in NACDA, they may not be as prevalent, or they may have fallen out of their minds. So we like the ability to have the time with the athletic directors and the conference commissioners that we'll be seeing at the convention. So that's pretty exciting that the NCAA has moved back to that format, and we're looking forward to it. So moving to the product roadmap and updates of what we're doing there. So the biggest thing that we're working on, and I think really the game changer that we have, are our new website themes. So we've basically been rebuilding from the ground up a new way of designing and redesigning websites within PrestoSports to allow for more options and for really you guys to give us feedback and have it be something that we can deliver for you very quickly. We want to have a lot of interchangeable components and allow you to make look and feel how you want it to, while also minimizing the time it takes to not only turn around the website as a whole, but turn around feedback, get you guys screenshots and so on and so forth. So what you can see, I've got a couple examples of new websites that we've launched within the last couple weeks. We are constantly updating and changing our various themes, and we've got a lot of options now, and we can pretty much make any type of website you want, whether it's a very photo-based above the fold if you've got some great action photography, or if you've got a situation where you've got low light gym and that sort of thing, and you're not going to have those bright popping photos. We've got lots of other options as well that we're developing, and really widgetizing, for lack of a better term, the website design process to where we can plug and play components and put them where they make the most sense. So we're really excited about that, and it's really the big thing that we've been working on the website side. A few other things that are really exciting for us. It's really tough to explain a schedule API and why you should get excited about it. I tried to word it this way. Basically, we're redoing how we can share data, both through public and private APIs. So what we're really seeing this as a real big step towards not only our partnerships, but working with mobile app developers and scoreboard solutions and all sorts of things. We've been wanting to redevelop our APIs so that we can talk in a friendlier way and a much more easy to use way to get the information that we have and get it out there in new places. So the new schedule API is going to do that, and really there's going to be some cool things behind that we'll be sharing very soon. We're hoping to have some things lined up for this webinar to where I could give some more specifics, but really that schedule API is really driving some innovative things that we're going to be doing, and as far as getting your information in new places to help you guys market your athletic department and make the information at the ease of use for the fans and really at their fingertips with their mobile devices. Presto Pay, we've really been hammering on this, and it's a good point for me to bring up here when we're talking about the roadmap. we have a new payment system ready to go. Where we've been lagging is getting the actual payment merchant information from our clients. So this is kind of a friendly reminder that we're wanting to launch that system February 1st, but we need help. We need you as clients to reach out to our support team if you are processing payments via camps, if you're doing any purchasing, whether it's stores or photos or any of those sorts of things through your website. You need to be set up with new merchant accounts. You need to talk to our support team. They'll get you all set up. Collaboration. Obviously, this is a big key component to everything that's happening with us. Obviously, from a stats perspective. Obviously, we still have our stats product, and we're going to continue to make changes and improvements there and still feel that the stat product is a viable thing and an alternative that you guys like and we can continue to have you use as time goes on. But we know that the future is making sure that we're working with the NCAA and working with Genius. So we've been, partnering with Genius, and we want to make sure that, we continue with them to develop non-XML delivery mechanisms that make sense for both parties. And that's something we're obviously meeting with them at the NCAA Convention next week, and that's a key takeaway for us is we want to get away from the XML and get to a more real-time format that we don't have to do a lot of parsing on our end. It's just the data. It's in the right format. It gets up. Everything updates as quickly as possible with as little changes that need to be made on our end. But the mechanisms in place and making sure that those make sense for both parties are really key to all of this. So we're excited to continue to work with them while also offering our product in Presto Stat Entry that we're really happy with. I touched on the embeddable player earlier. One of the key things that I wanted to make sure it was understood was that is not only going to be for free video, but that is for pay-per-view as well. So we're going to have a fully PCI compliant Presto Pay solution available to where if you want to direct everybody for even pay-per-view viewing to your athletics website, you can do that. So the embeddable player is a big option and really can help you put the video where you want it to be. And obviously there's integration points for Presto's web clients, but if you have another web provider that you're with, there will be still a certain degree of embeddability. There obviously you'll have to dual schedule and those sorts of things to make sure that we've got the information we need to provide the video for that embeddable player. But obviously the integration is going to be great with the embeddable player on the Presto side. And if you're not using Presto Web, it will still be something that will help and give you options going forward. Fresh. Obviously, having a beta product for a new OTT platform is something that we're really excited to get to by the end of 2020. You guys have seen the new UI of StretchLive, the new user interface, and we'll be showing that at the end if you haven't seen it, if you haven't been watching video for the last few weeks. And we really want to develop an OTT product that matches that look and feel and modernizes and continues to make things as easy to view as they do now. One of the great things about our current OTT environment that you see there is events pop up immediately. You can see them. You can then go through and search events, but the events are immediate. The app loads up and the events are there. And that's something we don't want to change, but we do want to modernize the look and feel as it's been out for a few years, and we want to make sure that we update that. And then modernizing and rebuilding the streaming environment. We want to continue to innovate, and we've talked about this if you've been on other webinars that we've done related to the transition of the services with PrestoSports coming together with Stretch Internet and SID Help, to where we moved Stretch Internet first from hard servers that were owned to the cloud, and now we've moved PrestoSports kind of the same way from servers to the cloud. So now what we want to do is we want to go back and improve upon the streaming environment in the cloud and make it even more scalable and more innovative, and basically get back to developing new features for you guys in relation to video that we hope are things that you haven't seen before. That's one of the key components there. Is we had to do the plumbing and electrical and make sure everything is good there, and now we can put the finishing touches on that brand new kitchen, or in this case, the video environment. So really excited about that and where it's moving in 2020. So the UI updates I mentioned for StretchLive have gone live, and I'm just showing a few example screens here of kind of the modern look and feel, and there's still some branding opportunities and some things you can do to work with this. So obviously here is an example of what the main landing page looks like today. Here's an example of what basketball can look like with the video and the stats next to it. And then one of the key things that we wanted to make sure we kept with from a look and feel standpoint, and also the needs of the SIDs and the conference offices, are having the stats, the full stats view, where you've got the small video in the upper left, and you've got the ability to pull up the full stats and really focus on this as a stats thing. And we're going to continue to make improvements in relation to the look and feel of this as time goes on. Obviously, one of the key things we're going to work on at some point is making sure that we get some name consolidation there and have that work a little better, as you can see on this. But we're really excited with the look and feel of this. We think it's very modern, and it really has changed how the video platform looks without changing the functionality that you guys are used to. So obviously, you know, the key with this is that we've made these UI changes now, and we've shown that we can make UI changes without changing the user experience, how easy it is to get to an event, how easy it is to search for event, all of the tools where sharing events between teams within a conference, having conference portals, that sort of thing. So we're going to take all of that and use it for updating the user interface of the backend system, and again, making these modern improvements to make things easier, make things load quicker when you're scheduling events, those sorts of things, basically modernizing those systems. That's going to be the next step and something we're working on in 2020. But we're really excited with how this turned out, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on this system. So, you know, that was a really quick overview of everything that we wanted to touch on and that we're working towards in 2020. We wanted to make sure that there was plenty of time for some questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith and see if he's got some questions for me here from the chat.
Yeah, thanks, JD. A few questions coming in. So one that applies to the screen that you were just displaying. And so the question is, can the stats in StretchLive be brought into the web environment? And so the statement is that, you know, Stretch stats do not currently populate Presto website. So maybe you could explain that just a bit for everyone.
Yeah. So essentially, what we're doing is, look and feel wise, these new Stretch stats are going to be, you know, coming to the Presto website very soon. I don't have a time frame on that, but basically that's one of the keys with this is we've designed new live stats, and we want to make sure that we have a look and feel similarity to and a replacement to primetime. What we do is we do have some clients currently that are kind of using our old school integration of video, where they've got the Stretch video player inside of the primetime live stats. We're basically going to modernize that as well, as when we get the new live stats out on the Presto website and the embeddable player, there'll be some options there. So really, right now, the Stretch stats are the Stretch stats, but updated Presto stats that are going to look, you know, have a very similar look and feel to this are coming soon.
Okay, great. Stats seems to be the question of the day. So what is the time frame on the replacement of StatJack is the question.
We've been working with Stat Broadcast on that. Obviously, one of the positives we have going for us is both of us are in the Phoenix area. So those of you that know Nate at Stat Broadcast, he's been great to work with. What we're hoping to do is we're looking at trying to rush something out the door for this spring, but honestly, we want to take a step back, take our time, and make sure things work right, and that's a fully integrated solution. So that is something that we're going to have completed in the summer and be able to have some clients do some testing and have that fully ready to go for the fall for all sports.
So I think there was a beta program that was going to be out for this spring, if I recall. So maybe a beta this spring for some sports.
It's going to be a very limited beta in terms of sports. So there will be there will be updates there, but again, we didn't want to rush something out the door there because we want to make it as easy to use as possible for you guys. So we realize there's a need, but we also realize that need right now is mostly on the Genius side for basketball, and we're not going to hit that before the end of the season. So we want to make sure that we take the time and do things right.
Then another question was, essentially this person is currently using Stat Broadcast, and they're asking if there'll be any impact or anything that they need to change on their end, or if they'll still need to purchase Stat Broadcast.
This is not, if you're paying for Stat Broadcast, then that's still Stat Broadcast. What we're talking about is Stat Broadcaster, which is the basically their version of StatJack. We're licensing that through them. So there will be no charge for Stat Broadcaster through us, but a broadcast stat platform. That's not the offer. If you guys want Stat Broadcast stats or you use Stat Broadcast stats, you can continue to do that with them. We're just solely using Stat Broadcaster as the delivery mechanism, replacing StatJack.
Then there's also a question about working with Genius and live stats, and so a few questions around that, just general update, timelines, and support for Genius.
One of the key things, I think the question I saw had something to do with the analytical stats that Genius are providing. One of the keys there is we talked about with Genius, we're wanting to be able to work with those analytics, but those aren't delivered in the XML. So we have to work with them on the delivery mechanisms to make sure that we have a non-XML based mechanism for doing that, and then we can continue to look at. The other thing it comes down to for us is NCAA reporting, and getting feedback there in terms of what stats are going to be required and making sure that we're providing those stats as well. So we're staying up to date with all of those things. Right now, we're providing via XML to the NCAA what is mandated. We're getting the XML, which only has what's mandated by the NCAA right now. But long term, as we work with Genius, there's the chance for some advanced analytical features to be present in our platform. I can't commit to what they're going to be or how they're going to work, but there will be the chance definitely for that integration. But really, we've got to all kind of collectively stop using those XML files first. So that's a key part to all of this.
So maybe to round out the stats, there's one several other questions, but one other that's on a slightly different topic. So, will there be better integration with DAX stats? Is the question.
As far as DAX stats goes, really what we've been working with over the years with them is making sure that, going back to the XML files, making sure that XML file closely matches what the Stat Crew standard was. For some sports, it matched it completely. For sports like baseball, softball, it's taking years and years of feedback and back and forth to get it in a better space to where we have the base runners that are on base, we have the count. One of the issues we have, and you guys might see this with DAX stats, depending on what you're using it for, is the refresh time. Generally speaking, with the exception of one sport, we get an update every minute from DAX stats. We don't get an update anytime there's a play, which an update anytime there's a play is how Presto stat entry works, how Genius works, and how Stat Crew works. So, getting some of those things taken care of, which StackStats has been doing, is kind of the first part. And then, in terms of better integration, again, with how things are moving, figuring out ways outside of XML delivery is going to be kind of a key to that from a formatting standpoint, seeing what information we can get and in a more consistent, easy to digest format.
Okay, maybe switching over to the screen that you're displaying right now. So a couple of people are asking about the ability to change the logo and colors on the StretchLive interface.
Those colors are customizable, the logos are customizable, but it is something that exists on our side of the system. So if you want to make any changes, reach out to the streaming support staff and they'll be happy to help you with any of that. If you have any issues or have any further questions with that, you can always reach out to me as well. But the streaming support staff should be able to help you and make any adjustments or changes that you're looking for. Obviously, we've had to go through and we tried to catch as many as we could when we made this change in terms of type of formats. And some schools, you may want to be using the space slightly differently with if we were using a secondary mark before and now you want your primary mark, or if you've got a tertiary mark that fits the space better, then reach out to our support staff. They'll be happy to get that up. And generally speaking, they can get that up within a couple hours, and from caching, it might take up to 12 hours to actually display, but very easy fix.
Okay. One question I think is probably on a lot of people's minds, but the question is, can we provide an update on the server issues that were experienced in the fall, especially on busy Saturdays, and the migration to Amazon? So can you take that, or would you like me to?
I'm happy to take that. So, we had a big day in December where we overnight, basically after weeks of testing, we shut everything down from the server side. Everything was redirected to running completely off of Amazon. So, what we have now is a fully scalable environment. So what we can do is if we're getting more traffic, if there's a big event happening, or it's a busy Saturday, what we can do now is we can just simply scale up. And so instead of having issues and things slowing down, we have automation steps in place that actually rev up servers in the cloud, and so basically now that everything is there, from a systematic standpoint, there's not going to be a situation where the websites go down from traffic. Now, it could go down from circumstances beyond our control or a bug or issue. Other than that, I can't say that the throwing items into the cloud makes them completely foolproof. But what I can say is those issues that we're having in the fall were based on scaling and the nature of our, honestly, overworked servers that have been running for years and years at this point. So getting off of them and getting into the cloud has mitigated those problems, and we have not seen any problems since.
Yeah, JD, and maybe to respond or to expand upon that. So we held a webinar in November where we provided a very detailed overview of some of the server changes that we were making and the data center changes that we were making. But just in a very quick way of explaining it, previously everything operated on one set of servers, 20-something servers that were running, but everything happened on essentially one group of servers. So if one of the schools was having a very big event and 100,000 fans were going to check out their website, you as an SID were competing with those same people. The same was true if everyone was trying to upload their stat files at the same time. So we made a very, very substantial change to the way the architecture is structured. So now there's a group of servers that manages the fan traffic, a second group of servers that manages the what we call the admin traffic, or U, and updates to the website. And the third is a stats servers. So basically servers that take in those XML files or those Genius feeds and update them and process those files. So that means we're able to add and scale up in each area based upon need, and we're able to do it very quickly thanks to Amazon. But as JD said, since we've made that move, we've really not seen any negative issues from the website. Another pretty big benefit of that change is that we've seen average load times drop from somewhere around 9 seconds to around 4 seconds per page. So it's been a tremendous boost for improvement. It also has addressed any of the issues that you were having with 404 errors and things of that nature. So if you ever run into something like that, let us know. But those issues have been addressed.
One thing to kind of close out the thoughts on that, Keith, is we're continuing to work on optimizing things as well. So we mentioned load times have gotten faster, but we still don't feel like we have everything, completely dialed in as performant as it can be. So as we make additional adjustments over the coming next year or two, we should see things only get faster and smoother in relation to load times, data upload, all of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quick look and see if there's any other questions. There's a question around the future of Front Row and our mobile app and what's coming on that. So JD mentioned that we were hoping to be able to make some announcements around that. It is something that we're working on, but we're not quite ready to show it. So it is a lot of improvements to our mobile app solution that we'll be able to share in the next few weeks.
Really a case of that scheduling API and some of those API adjustments that we're making are really the key driving point to that in terms of getting data and having it available more easily to digest for the creation of mobile applications and those sorts of things.
Okay, great. A couple more questions that came in. I don't quite understand this, but maybe you do, JD. Are you guys going, the quote is, are you guys going to fix the save percentage look? Do you know what that means?
So we actually have some fixes related to goalie statistics that are in the push that's going out this week. So I believe that is what that's related to in terms of percentages is included within that. But if someone has more specifics on and wants to ask that question in a different manner, they can go ahead and send it to myself, and we'll have a good answer for you.
Yeah, maybe to expand upon that, there were a couple of cases I know where the events were being statted in Genius or potentially even in StatCrew, and there were settings or there were calculations that weren't being passed over, and so some of that was because we had updated our standard formats for that. But this particular customer had a custom template or a custom web page that did some manual calculations. So anything that you're seeing that's related to that, it could be related to a custom template that you were using. But at this point, I'd say most all of those issues have been addressed. Similar thing with ADA. Most of those have been addressed as well. Custom templates have been done on a case-by-case basis because they are custom. But we've been working very aggressively to address all those ADA and display issues.
That's where I wish there was some better nomenclature, because I know we talked about we actually had some stat setting adjustments for certain situations with ice hockey in terms of stat entry. So I took that one way and Keith took it the other, and I think we answered that one of the two places. But basically we've got stats entry and stats display, and they're two separate things and two separate systems. So the more specific when you have a question like that you can be to our support team, the quicker they can help you with that.
Okay, great. I think that's it. I think that's it for what we have for today. I know we promised to get everyone out in about 30 to 40 minutes, so we're bouncing up against that 40-minute time frame. Anything else? I think we'll just respond to directly.
If anybody is coming out to the NCAA Convention, a rare West Coast convention, as this is the year of the West Coast Convention with NCAA being in Anaheim and obviously NACDA COSIDA being in Las Vegas. Feel free to drop myself or Keith a line. We're happy to set some time aside to talk to you and answer any questions that you had coming from today. A reminder that this webinar was recorded, so we'll be presenting a recorded video to everybody who signed up for the webinar, and also have it available for later for anybody who wants to access it. They can reach out to support and get a link to it. So really appreciate everybody coming today as we approach crossover season. I know things are starting to get busy, so appreciate everybody's time. Thanks to Keith and David from our marketing team, and we're really excited to we're excited to talk today about what we have planned in 2020, and we will have more on new developments as they come up. But thanks everybody for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.